Hey, what's up, guys? All the way from Bali, Indonesia. We got the weekly scraps. I got band-aids all over my body. I got band-aids on my shoulders. Got band-aids here.
Because I whooped your ass.
Band-aids on my toes. No.
Yeah.
Probably not what happened.
Pretty sure that's what happened.
I feel like that's not what happened, though.
Even if that's not what happened, I think that's what you were afraid was gonna happen. So when you went to sparring without me, you like had that in the back of your mind, and it like inhibited your skill set because of the fear, and then you got fucked up. So either way, I'm beating you in some way.
I did have a good sparring day back, did 5-5s, which I was ready to yak after round 3.
5-5s?
5-5s.
Bro,
round 3,
crazy.
going to round 4, I was a little slow off the stool. I took like an extra 10 seconds. Like, who am I going with again? I'm going with you. All right, let me go grab. Let me fix my shin guards. Started adjusting my gloves, taking my time, trying to take a couple deep breaths.
That's a violation.
Nah.
That's a violation.
They're okay. They were excited to go with me, so I think we just couldn't wait to get their hands on me.
So now you're using your position of power. People are excited to go with you, so it's okay. I can fuck off and fuck around for a little bit.
You know?
I'm just
That's
saying.
what happens when you make it.
That's not how you. That's not how you climb the mountain again. You know.
That's what happens when you
gotta
make
be
it.
hungry.
I'm still hungry.
I know you just had a sandwich.
I'm still hungry for sure. We're actually about to go take a trip to the shaman. I'm gonna see some things today. I'm gonna see some things
Guys,
today.
This is why I question my career path.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go see the shaman.
He starts singing, and he thinks it's good.
My singing is actually impeccable. But
What we got?
first thing, let's get into the main event. Barn burner. Did you see that finish? Did you see that finish? Impeccable finish.
He broke his knee.
No, dude, it was like a TKO. You didn't watch the fight, did you?
Rafael Fiziev.
Yeah. No. Oh, I was talking UFC 292.
Yo, they're saying you can't handle a loss.
Yeah, I guess. But no, that knee injury was pretty bad. That was it was weird because the way he threw the kick, he was not throwing it any different than how he threw it early in the first round. But then he threw this one almost like with some real intent of like extending his hip to get to him. And I don't think that's necessarily it. But it's almost like his foot stayed planted and then the knee just like, and you can see it on the slow-mo where it shifts out and you're like, damn, that sucks. We thought it was the elbow originally. I thought he like broke his foot because the way he kind of fell looked like, but no, he was grabbing the other leg like Peter Griffin and Family Guy.
Yo, I wonder if he had something coming into the fight with that knee.
I mean, he threw that right kick a couple of times in the first round, so I'm going to say no. But who knows? The only person that knows is the man upstairs and the man in the octagon.
In the arena.
Well, there's a lot of men in the arena. It's in the octagon that matters.
That's true.
But unfortunate. It was shaping up to be a good fight too, because Gamrot landed some good stuff in the first round. There was that one big flurry from Fiziev in round 1 as well, where he threw like a 4-punch combination off of a very lazy, slow jab from Gamrot. He did it like 3 times in a row, and Fiziev just picked up on the last one and teed him up a little bit. I mean, he defended well, had a good defense, but definitely still hurts. Mm-hmm. And that really is, I mean, even that takedown he hit at the end of round 1, maybe that caused a little bit of a tweak. We don't know.
Maybe.
Because there was a lot of scramble, and Gamrot ends up on top when the bell rang, but he kind of kept going to show like, I was gonna get you.
Yeah.
And then he eventually got him in the second round, got the takedown.
Right, but then he kind of came, I feel like he figured it out at the end of the first round.
Kind of like me. Except I should have just, you know, taken his approach and not, try to, he didn't do any of that. He stayed tight with his hands. When he was throwing his jab, he threw his cross and just bring it right back versus kind of stepping in and lunging and getting out of place. So I thought he did some really good things with that and showed some nice improvements in his striking, especially against a guy like Fiziev, who many people rank highly here. So I'm in a group chat with my boys. One of them, I ain't gonna say who, he's saying he thinks he's done. I was like, what do you mean, like his career because of the
Fiziev?
knee injury? Yeah. He goes, no, his title run. I was like, but he's 30. He's like, I can't see him. Who can he beat in the top 10?
What?
So I looked at the top 10. I'm like, well, he beat RDA when he was in the top 10. So I get your point. He beat Renato Moicano as well. But there's some good fights for him in that way. Fun fights where it could kind of go back and forth and may the better man win. I think the Hooker fight is interesting. The Michael Chandler fight, who's actually top 5, is interesting. So I don't think Fiziev is done.
Hooker's very interesting.
Hooker's very interesting.
Chandler's very interesting.
Yeah, just stylistically.
I think he could beat both of them.
Possibly.
He could, I'm
He
saying.
could. I mean, in that top, even
Close fights.
Yeah, and even Hooker, he showed how he turned back the clock with the Jalen Turner fight.
Yeah.
And showed that he's not what I thought that his chin might have been like suspect at this point, and he turned back the clock against Jalen Turner and was able to get the job done and get the win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Fiziev can still make a title run. It's just gonna be a lot harder now to come back from this knee injury and then try to win another 3 fights in a row, or if luck is on the side, maybe 2 fights. That could potentially put him in a Cheeto Vera situation where he could just be the next, I guess, kind of interesting guy based on what the UFC wants to do.
Also, the way he fights, I think, favors him a little. Like,
Yeah.
he's very entertaining to watch.
It's fun to watch.
He could go on a 2-fight crazy knockout streak and,
be right back.
yeah, literally. So,
Even just one. I mean,
Yeah.
shit, we saw that with Cody Garbrandt when he knocked out Rafael Asuncao, and then he was back in the talks of being like 1 fight away. If he had beaten Rob Font that next fight, he would have possibly been back in a title shot conversation, or maybe leapfrogged everybody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how the UFC works in that regard. So, whatever. I mean, I thought Gamrot did some really good stuff. You know, credit to him. You can't take anything away from him. Obviously, it's a shitty way for the fight to end, but it's a fight. Sometimes injuries happen, and that's why we fight, because we just never know. And I know people are like, but that sucks if they fought again, but they fought tonight. And that's what happened, even though for us it's the daytime.
yeah, and, like, you know, he's young. He'll keep fighting. The fight was close, though. It wasn't like,
Who won round 1? I don't even know.
I don't even know. And I think Gamrot was winning the second round as it was going.
Yeah.
He got a takedown.
A line out of O'Malley's book, How They Score the Second Round. Like, ooh. That burned. That was a good line.
You keep coming back to that fight
I
in
know.
this podcast.
I know. It sucks.
You triggered?
I'm emotionally unstable. Just watch my face show expressions and to see how distraught I am right now.
Should I pour
I should
you
go-
a drink right now?
I should go crack open a bottle of Funk.
Why aren't we drinking right now?
Because we're about to go to see the shaman. I don't know if it's good to do both. That's a slippery slope. I don't know if I'm quite ready to see those type of
That's fair.
Things
I feel like it would
experience.
just make the mushrooms worse. Like, it wouldn't.
mushrooms. Who's doing mushrooms?
It would make the shaman a more dull experience.
Next up, we got the co-main event. Bryce Mitchell beats Dan Ige in a really back and forth fight. Well, let me not say back and forth. It was like one person was winning, then the other guy came back and won. So I guess that is back and forth, but I guess when you say back and forth, it means like it went back and forth a couple of times versus just one guy started, then the other guy won or ended stronger. So is that really
I think in a
back and
3-round
forth?
fight, if one guy starts the fight winning and then the other guy turns it around and wins,
guess.
then you could call that back and forth.
Okay. I'm just a lizard. Ige started off strong, landed some great stuff. I think round 1, you give to Bryce, right? I feel like Bryce kind of got the round 1 with the grappling.
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I guess that's the round you give to him.
Yeah, because the third round, we know the third round, Bryce
Yeah.
had pretty much
But,
4 minutes of control time, 3.5 minutes.
The second round,
Ige cracked him with
Ige cracked him.
some really good punches.
but then like half the round, Bryce was like controlling him and then like trying to submit him and like making Ige defend submissions.
Yeah.
So by the rules, that should be counted the same as damage, I'm pretty sure. Like if you're threatening submissions.
I don't know if in the rules it says it should be scored like damage. Like, I don't actually know that.
Like, it's like damage, threatening submissions. Like, those are like in the top criteria.
Yeah.
And then the next is like control time.
Man? No one even knows anymore. I think
I'm
they
just
just
saying,
put stuff on paper and then they just like, here's the gray area, let's live in here. Let's live right in this gray area.
literally.
Here's black and white, this is what the rules say, but let's live in this gray area where we kind of just make up our own shit.
I'll say Dan Ige won the first round, right? Or no, Bryce won the first round.
Yeah, I think Dan won the second round
Second
for
round.
sure with the damage.
Those hooks were.
Yeah, cut him, busted up his eye. He busted up his eye in the first round, the underneath, and then he busted it up again in the second round when he threw that hook. And then Bryce was able to take him down, like you said, and control them. And look like he's going for submission attempts, but a guy like Ige, like to me, from a trained eye, none of those submissions were honestly like close.
Yeah.
But for someone that's
But
looking
for a
at it
judge.
like, oh, he's got his arm up.
He's got his arm up, or like he had his neck for a little, like he had his back and he was like, looked like he had a rear naked choke, like close at least for a little bit.
Was that in the first round? That was the second round? Or was that the third?
That was in
I thought that was the
second
third,
round.
where he took him down. Dan almost got out, and then somehow Bryce Mitchell, like Gumby, Mr. Rubber Band Man, snapped back into place and took his back. Was able to maintain control.
Maybe I didn't watch
off.
the third round.
Yeah, so it was a good fight, man. Like all in all, like I've trained with both guys, both really good guys. Of course, Bryce Mitchell's post-fight speech is going to be Bryce Mitchellin, and
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
nah, he was saying the fires were man-made. I mean, I don't know exactly what he meant by that.
I think he meant like the fires were like.
Does it mean like some
proof.
kids went out there and they did something which makes it man-made?
Well, wasn't he saying like Satan is here or something?
The devil.
Yeah. So like, I took it as like the fires came because mankind is acting up.
That's how you took that? I don't know. For a guy like him who's super into conspiracies, the earth is flat, he starts talking about all these other things. I feel...
I mean, of course the fires were man-made.
I feel he thinks that like literally someone in the government did that. That's what I think he was getting at. That's what I think. I could be completely wrong. You could be right. But
Because he's like
some of the
saying
other
like
things he
Satan
said.
is here. And like, I'm thinking he's referring to like, this is like a plague from God because we've like embraced Satan too much in our culture. That's kind of how I took it. Like,
I guess.
Like there's a story in the Bible where like it's Sodom and Gomorrah. It's like Sodom is a city where like apparently all these dudes are like sinning and like everyone in the town is like doing like immoral sexual acts. So God like throws fireballs on the town and like destroys everybody in the city as like a punishment for because the city is so immoral and it's like so evil. So like that's what I kind of thought he was like referencing. And he had the Bible up and shit.
Yeah, that was intense.
So that's kind of what I thought he was referencing, saying like, this is because mankind is acting up, that God is punishing us.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe.
All right, maybe I'm wrong.
I didn't get that
But maybe I'm right. What I'm saying is right. Maybe.
Maybe. You sure about that?
No.
You sure about that?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, the wildfires are always in California. Where
This was in Maui, though.
No, I know. But a lot of times they're in California, which is like a very satanic place. If you hear about all the stuff that goes on over there in Hollywood, you know what I'm saying? God's throwing fireballs down on Hollywood.
Listen, I don't want nothing to do with
It's
those
in the
problems.
Bible, my friend.
I'm just saying, I think he was like, you know, the devil's here, all these forest fires, we need to pray for them, but I want you to know something about these forest fires. I think they're man-made. And I was just like, oh no. Let's just say, let's pray for the people who've been affected and not do the conspiracy route, because that's when I think he loses people, but then he'll still have some of the other folks with the tinfoils on their head. Like he still has those folks. But the average human being who's normal and just lives their life day to day without like thinking about
Like,
these crazy
the
stuff. I
Hawaiians.
think he could have just been like, let's pray for the people who were affected by the fire. I'm donating money to Danny because I know he knows a lot of people who are affected by it, and left it at that. But once you start saying, because these were man-made, and I'm gonna do this, and we need to pray, I'm like, damn, dude, you started here, dude, but then you kind of fell off the wagon and started rolling down the hill.
I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either because I know Bryce personally, so I think it's funny. But the people who don't like subscribe to Bryce and they hear him talk because they don't know him outside, they just think he's just a fighter and a crazy guy who just talks about conspiracies all day. I don't think that does him any favors. That's what I'm saying. But to me, I don't mind it because I know Bryce. I'm just like, you're a little bit wacky, but your intentions are always good.
I just don't think what he said was like inherently offensive. You know?
No, I don't think it'll.
But I could see if you're close to the situation, you don't want to hear that. You know, you don't want to hear about how it's man-made. You just were like, you know what I mean?
In that regard,
because
yes.
then it's almost like blaming it on the people or something, or like.
No, I don't think he's blaming it on the people. I think he's blaming like some secret government shit because that's all he talks about. Like he talks about like conspiracies all the time, and that's why I'm like, I'd
like to hear him out. I think we should have him on the Weekly Scraps to explain his point of view.
I'm down for it, but I just know
cool.
There's gonna be people who are gonna be offended. I don't care because it's not offending me, and as long as he's not being crazy, in the sense of like where we're gonna get demonetized. Like,
okay, well, actually, this kind of brings up a broader point, I think, because it's like you got Bryce doing this today. And then you've got like Strickland as the champ now with his mouthpiece.
Yeah, we might have to cut this whole part. Honestly.
But like, there's a lot of guys. I feel like there's a lot of guys in the UFC who just like are allowed to say these crazy things that like if one NFL player ever said this, they'd be kicked out of the NFL and sent to like Canada or something. Like
Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I think once people kind of see that this is their personality and your persona, it's almost like, well, that's just how they are. It's almost like a pass.
But it's like Dana like lets it happen and like somehow the UFC doesn't take any heat for it. Which is good, I think. It's cool like that people can like speak freely.
Oh yeah, that part I definitely subscribe to for sure. But other than that, man, it was a great fight. Congrats to Bryce for getting the job done on a big comeback. I know Ige was fired up, especially with Sean Strickland winning the belt for Extreme Couture. I know the team has been fired up. And I know he was ready to go, did some really good things. I think he lost it in that third round where he had like a minute to work, maybe a minute and a half when he got out, but he was still controlled. And I can hear Nixick screaming and imploring him like, yo, you gotta go, you gotta do damage, breakaway kind of thing. And Ige was kind of just stuck in that position. I don't know if he was holding on trying to get the takedown back and reverse it. But I thought if he just unloaded some damage in that position, not like that awkward position where his arm was stuck here, his head stuck underneath, and they're sitting on the ground. I think you kind of circle your feet out to the left, do a peek out with the head, and take the arm that's stuck, because Bryce had like almost like a Kimura long arm wrist grab, forearm. Dan Ige's head's underneath his chest. Has he rolled his underneath? But the only way to roll it underneath, you have to circle your feet away from his opponent's body. So they're here. He circles his feet away. That now creates space for you to kind of weave your head underneath, pop your head out, take the back while he's still holding your arm. And now you're in a position where you could kind of straighten it, pull it back, and now unload some damage, push away, and really start to rack up some points to kind of get back into that round. Because I think that was the swing round that ultimately cost him the fight. That's my personal opinion. It was a minute and like 10, 20 seconds, whatever it was. But I think because Bryce only controlled him in that third round, had Ige done some damage, significant damage, I think he comes out with his hand raised in that fight. But it's a game of inches, man. I don't know what the thought process was. Maybe Dan didn't know how much time was on the clock. I don't know. There's so many things to kind of consider in that position.
Yeah.
But all in all, good fight.
Close fight. Dan had a great fight, so.
Yeah. Usman won, big Usman.
Yeah.
He won in a crazy back and forth fight. There was a fight that a guy won by disqualification.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time ever in history that anyone in the UFC has ever won a fight by disqualification. I've never seen anything like it before. He he was beating the crap out of him, like the entire fight in the first round.
Yeah.
And then some reason he just throws an illegal forearm elbow and just clubs him right in the back. Like his head is literally down, just right in the back of his neck. It's almost like he was like, no, turn around here. And then he caused himself to lose by disqualification after he was dominating. Like, I don't really understand that.
And Dom Cruz said it, like, he should know better. If you're, like, he's a pro athlete, he should know better not to do that.
Yeah, he, like, took his time.
And then,
waited.
Planted the shot.
And then just planted the shot. It's very familiar. Like, I felt like I seen something like that before. Where the guy, like, took his time. He was, like, kind of waiting. And then he just kind of just does something irrational and just doesn't make any sense. Just didn't follow the rules, like, whatsoever.
Wait, who was that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Couldn't have been you. Nah,
it wasn't me. Come on. I would never do something like that.
No. I feel like it happened to you. No, it couldn't have been.
Yeah,
no,
not me.
Anyway.
I would never put myself in a situation like that. You're just kind of hanging out. And you just get unexpectedly, like, blasted in the back of your head or to the side of your head, not knowing, like, the shot's coming. Like, I feel bad for Brundage because he did not know that shot was coming. Albeit, the fight was not going his way. But it's just kind of crazy how the guy dominating just made such a crazy mistake. But he won by disqualification, so he gets both paychecks. It's unfortunate. Maybe they run it back and do a rematch.
Maybe.
And we'll see who wins. And on that note...
And Brundage will lose by however the other guy wants.
Yeah, by murder. Shout out Mizuki. 3 years off, comes back. She beats Hannah Goldie in a kind of a back and forth fight. She was engaging a lot in the clinch, which was super strange to me. It's almost like she wanted to show off her wrestling, even though she knew that was like Hannah Goldie's best way of winning the fight. She got a couple takedowns. She got taken down. She showed off some striking. She was able to kick. I think her knees are now fixed. She had some major knee issues, so she's back in the win column. Good for her. And Pumi was in the corner. Shout out Pumi.
Oh, shit.
Little Turbo, young Turbo. And other than that, I think we're good on the fights. I didn't watch the rest of them because I was sleeping. Guys, fight started at like 5 a.m. over here.
You got up?
No,
I was about to
I had to
say.
sleep.
Damn, that would be crazy.
Man's had to sleep.
So I guess other than that, there was a bunch of crazy fights announced this week.
Ooh, I like fight announcements.
I think I got 7 fights right here that I wanted to like get your opinion on.
Let's do some early predictions.
Starting off with Jon Jones versus Stipe got officially announced for MSG in November, UFC 295. How do you see this fight going?
Man, I just see Jon kind of dictating the pace, controlling the range, using those oblique kicks, using those long teeps, even the side kicks that he uses so many times over and over when he was at 205 dominating the division. At heavyweight, this is going to be interesting to see how he looks compared to the Cyril Gane fight. Like, yeah, when it hit the ground, it's just autopilot. It's like going back to a wrestling practice for Jon and then going into a jiu-jitsu match. It's relatively easy for him. But the issue for me going into this one is the striking. If he comes out swinging and whiffing the way he did against Cyril Gane like that, it looked bad. He even said, I felt like, he said, goofy or clunky?
Yeah.
He said he felt off. Not off, but he felt weird when he threw the punch. And he was like, yeah, I think he said it looked goofy or clunky when he threw it. And we all know Stipe can box his ass off. And it's a fight. So I think Stipe, being that he has some wrestling background, I think he does a better job than Cyril Gane, but he has to keep it standing. And I'm just gonna say good luck to Stipe trying to do that against Jon Jones. But I'd always say, especially at the heavyweight, everyone's got a puncher's chance. And I know Stipe is more than motivated. I'm pretty sure he's brought in good training partners. I'm looking forward to this fight because this is the greatest heavyweight of all time, taking on one of the greatest fighters to ever bless the octagon in Jon Jones.
Yeah.
So this is a very intriguing fight. Like on paper, we all know who should win, but Stipe has some tools to victory as well. Can he stuff the takedown and make Jon fight his fight kind of like Dominic Reyes did, kind of like Gustafsson did in the first fight. And what was another close one that he had? I would say even the DC fight, the first one that went the distance, Like, yeah, Jon relatively was winning and was ahead, But I think the longer the fight stays on the feet, the more you give Stipe an opportunity to stay in that fight.
So you think the
And find a
key
shot.
for Stipe's victory is stuff the takedown and then
And box. He has to put hands
box.
on John.
Yeah, and then
He ain't gonna kick him. He throws a kick and John catches that kick, that fight's over. And I've never seen Stipe throw a head kick. You know?
what is that?
I don't know. But
It's
next
not
up,
here, right? So Poatan versus Jiri, which is the co-main event for John versus Stipe at MSG.
205, right?
205 title fight, Poatan.
And heavyweight title fight.
It's so impressive what Pereira's done in the UFC, coming from a different sport to this.
Yeah.
And then like,
Kind of like Izzy.
yeah, but like right away, like a few fights in, he got a title, and then he goes up a weight class, beats one of the best guys in the weight class in a decision.
You know what's crazy about that run though? And I hate coming back to myself, but it reminds me of the O'Malley situation. Like, Poatan definitely did not earn that title shot, and he got it, right? Because of the storyline and because
Right.
of the push.
Not in the same way.
Yeah, not in the same way. So there's always that opportunity where if a guy has to go through the same gauntlet as some of the other people, that they could have a few stumble blocks, and then that opportunity for them to get into that spotlight, limelight position where they're fighting for a belt and being able to capitalize on it, you kind of take the chances of that happening a little bit more. I think you kind of take it away a little bit. And I know when he beat, what was it? He beat Sean, and then the next fight was a title, I think.
Strickland, yeah.
Yeah. I forget what Sean was ranked at the time.
8.
And he went from that to that. And I think Sean then lost to Cannonier after that.
Yeah.
So it was just like kind of crazy.
It is a crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it's you just never know. And that's why when people say like, I hate when people say this person has no chance of winning. The amount of people that were telling me that going into my fight with O'Malley was probably one of the most annoying things.
Right.
Because it's literally diminishing or undermining everything that he's done, even though he hasn't fought that many guys in the top 5, only Piotr Jan, and then myself as a champ, the former champ. I recognize how dangerous he actually was. Same thing, recognizing how dangerous Pereira actually was, him going out and beating Izzy. But as the athlete, we know this. But then when you have teammates and stuff coming up to you like, oh, you're gonna kill him. This is easy work for you, light work, bro. I'm just like, do I make it look like that? Or do you guys just really believe that? And then I think when you treat it like that, you can kind of see who's paying respect to the game, I guess. Because you gotta treat it that every opponent is the most dangerous opponent. Because if you don't, that's when you get caught up and that's when you get got.
Yeah.
So I just figured I should definitely say that. But going back to Poatan versus Jiri, I think this is a fun fight. It's very impressive what he's been able to do in such a short amount of time. Obviously, his grappling is lacking. I think if Jiri takes him down, which he probably would because he's such a wild-style fighter, he'll swing some crazy shit on the feet. If it hits the ground, I think Jiri should win.
He did, but I think Poatan was pretty good at like defending the takedowns against
Don't say Izzy.
Blachowicz.
Please don't say Izzy.
Blachowicz. I think Blachowicz went for some takedowns and he stuffed them.
Yeah.
And Blachowicz was able to do that to Izzy. So it's like
That was defensively versus offensively.
but still, like, do you think he'll be able to like stuff Yuri's takedowns? I guess. I mean, Yuri's not the craziest like wrestler, but he does have submissions.
It's just like Blachowicz is more like stand still, kind of like just walk. I don't say walk you down, but he'll throw like one punch and then he'll shoot. Versus Jiri, who's kind of like swinging all kinds of these crazy weapons. You don't know which way it's coming from, and then he'll shoot and latch onto something. And you can kind of see that scramble ability that he has when he fought Glover Teixeira. That was Glover, right?
Yeah. Glover submitted him.
Glover submitted Jiri.
No.
Wait, no.
Wait, who are you saying? Who has the scrambling ability?
Jiri.
Oh, yeah. Glover.
Glover Teixeira.
I thought you were talking about Blachowicz. Glover submitted Blachowicz. Glover submitted Blachowicz, yeah.
Glover submitted.
Jan Blachowicz.
So Jamall Hill TKO'd Glover, right?
I think so.
Let me just pull this up.
Yeah.
Yes, he's Jiri submitted rear naked choke in round 5. Yes, that's who it was, in Singapore, over Glover Teixeira. And then Jiri pulled out, and then they had the vacant title that was very weird for Magomedov, Ankalaev, and who'd he fight? Blachowicz. In a weird-ass fight.
Draw.
Then
The title's still vacant. So Glover versus
Jamall Hill. What
Jamall.
a crazy run that's been for 205.
But it's been actually like pretty entertaining.
No, of course.
Like the guys up there are entertaining fighters, and the fights have been sick.
Yeah. It's just fascinating to see how that whole thing is kind of shaping up.
Yeah.
But to see how Jiri was able to create those scramble situations and then get Glover tired to the point where he can submit him, I think that says a lot. And he did a lot of damage in that fight. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Jiri's approach is going to be, especially coming off of the shoulder surgery. I feel it's tough to count out Poatan at this point. I think he's on a run like no other at 205. I'm going Poatan, stone face.
I feel like everyone, like a lot of the people I've talked to, think Poatan's gonna win because he's like the more technical, like striking master, and Yuri's this like wild.
But that's what makes him dangerous.
I know. But I'm thinking like, I feel like Yuri's not like an approach guy either. He's kind of just like, I'm gonna just do what, like I'm just gonna freestyle.
He just fights, yeah. Look what he hit Dominic Reyes with, spinning back elbow. That looked like it just cratered his whole face.
Yeah.
Like that was nasty. Please don't hit me like that, dude. I got to go to the trunk and be back for you. I'm gonna tell you, wait right here. He broke through my nose. I'll be right back. I'm going to the trunk. But yeah, I got Poatan. But I would not be surprised if Jiri won. I kind of want to go with Jiri, but I think it's kind of hard to deny the momentum right now of Poatan. Yeah, and Jiri's been out for a while, so maybe there's a little ring rust.
Jiri gets hit a lot too.
I'm gonna say they both do.
Yeah, but when Poatan hits you, it's different. I feel like
the death touch.
Unless you do get the spinning back elbow to the face.
Yeah,
that's hard. So then, the next for December's main event, it's gonna be Colby and Leon for the welterweight belt. Leon's defending his belt. Colby's coming back.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man, because the styles and then the inactivity of Colby Covington definitely concerns me. And obviously Leon Edwards hasn't fought in a while either. So it's a very interesting fight. I think the pace of Colby is going to be problematic because I don't think Leon's the biggest welterweight in comparison to Usman.
No.
I just feel like he doesn't cut as much as an Usman or some of the other bigger welterweights. And I could be completely wrong. I'm just saying by looking at the physique. We know Colby doesn't cut that much weight either. He could make 55, but he's going to suffer his cardio, and he'd rather have that as a weapon. And we've seen it being used time and time again. This could be a changing of the guards, and this might be us. And I hate saying this because that's a fellow countryman, Jamaica's last champ. It was myself, Jamall Hill, and Leon Edwards, Jamaican descent, and then born in Jamaica, living in the UK, Leon Edwards. So this is a very important fight for us, but also as an American, for Colby to win is also huge for America, you know? So there's a lot of, I got a lot of mixed feelings towards this. I just really want to see a good fight, but I think the wrestling pace of Colby is going to be interesting to see how Leon Edwards can handle that. And we all know Colby just goes forward, puts the pressure on you. He will shoot 100 times, kind of like that Marab factor.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to make it interesting. And we'll see if Leon Edwards can find that kill shot. Because there were moments in that rematch with Usman where Usman had some success with the takedowns or pushing him against the cage and making it a grindy fight. But then in space, he was able to do good enough damage. And I think he maybe could be able to do the same thing against Colby. I like this one, I can't call it. I think it's that close of a fight.
I'm thinking, because I feel like Leon was able to, in the second fight against Usman, he was able to like weather the storm in terms of wrestling. And then he kept it on the feet, I feel like, and he won the fight. Like Usman couldn't really get anything off in that second fight. Whereas in the first fight, he was able to like do whatever he wanted, I feel.
Took him down every single round.
So plus that could have been the elevation factor because they were in Utah for that first fight. and the improvements Leon made, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking Leon's going to win. Because he was able to, like...
I can see that.
You know? I mean, Colby's a different beast when it comes to, like, the volume of takedowns. So that cardio could, like, play a different factor.
That's the only thing that worries me, because I feel like Leon has gotten tired in the past, where a guy like Colby, who kind of thrives off of that, it's almost like he feels that, and it gives him more energy to keep going and gas pedaling. I think if Leon slows down too much, I know he's got all the time in the world to get his cardio up to a point where he's going to be able to go up, down, and wrestle, strike. Very extremely hard to do, but I think he's got more than enough time to prepare. A great team behind him. This could be, and still, obviously, I'm on the fence with this one. I really, not even because I know both of these guys, and we're not like boys, any of us, but I really do think this is a pick'em fight, because Colby hasn't fought in such a long time. Leon Edwards, he did have some issues with the grappling, and it just makes you wonder if that's going to play a factor going into this with a guy who doesn't get tired, where Leon has gotten tired in those fights with some of those guys. So, yeah, I'm split on this. I'm going to just flip a coin. I just want to see a good fight with that one.
Next, we got Pantoja against Royval as the co-main event for Colby and Leon.
See, Royval is a wild card, because there's some fights he shows up and he's lights the world on fire, and sometimes he shows up and he kind of just makes one or two bad mistakes that just puts him in this super crazy deficit, where it's like, yo, bro, what did you just do? Mm-hmm. You're so talented, like, and I get it. And he takes chances. And that's what I like about Royval. He's fun to watch because he takes those chances. But sometimes the chances he takes are just like, you're like scratching your head, like, why ever in hell did you ever think to do that? Mm-hmm. But when it works, he's a genius, you know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those catch-22s. And then Pantoja, obviously beating Moreno again for the third time, solidifies how top talent he is, of how high I rate Brandon Moreno. I'm pretty sure everyone in the world does.
Yeah.
So for him to do that, he's not the most technical guy. He's willing to come there and brawl. If he gets your back, he's a nightmare on top. Royval's got some really good guillotines, some cool chokes, triangle chokes over his back. I think Pantoja showed some weaknesses where in the scramble positions with Moreno. So I'm thinking, I just feel like Pantoja he's just gonna be, I think he should be able to defend.
Yeah.
I think he should be able to turn back Royval, because I think he has more, I think he's willing to exchange more in the pocket. Yeah, Royval might throw some spinning elbows and some crazy shit like that, but I think if he does that too early, too often, it's gonna ultimately cost him a position where Pantoja capitalizes on that, and once he gets you there, it's very hard to get him off.
Yeah. I think Pantoja's the more skilled guy overall. Like, I think he's better overall.
Yeah.
I think. But
it's a fight.
I think, okay, so I put a poll up on the Weekly Scraps story the other day with those 4 fights. Jones Stipe, Poatan Jiri, Leon Colby, and Pantoja Royval.
Yeah.
And I was like, what fight do you think will be the most exciting? And the one that got voted the most was Jiri versus Poatan. And then Jones versus Stipe, then Colby Leon, then Royval, and Pantoja.
Most exciting, they put them last?
I think Pantoja versus Royval is likely to be the most like wild of all the 4 of those fights.
Yeah, especially if you just watch Pantoja fight Brandon Moreno, how crazy that fight was.
And he doesn't have boring fights, Pantoja.
Yeah, that's
And Royval is exciting as hell.
Yeah, they're rolling that one.
Jiri Poatan, I think, is a good second, but
who you got, somebody else?
yeah, we got 3 more. Wonderboy and Shavkat.
Wonderboy, Wonderman versus Shavkat, Rachmanov, right? Mm-hmm. Rachmanov. This is going to be a really interesting fight because of the distance management of Wonderboy. I mean, if you watch the fight back with him and Jorge Masvidal, how he was able to teep him off of his side leg kick, teep him off of his base, and every time Masvidal would run in, checked him, literally kicked him off of his feet to the floor with his side kick. And I think that's what makes him very, very tricky to fight, because it's hard to close the distance on Wonderboy. You have to counter his counters. I don't know if Shavkat, based on what I've seen, if this is his best stylistic fight, because I think Wonderboy is so elusive and he doesn't really engage unless he sees that opening there. Let's look at some of his other fights. You watched the one with Tyron Woodley. That was a very slow fight until it wasn't. The moments where Woodley was able to crack him one time. Darren Till, that fight was a duck. That nothing really happened in that, even though I still think Wonderboy won that fight just based on activity. I don't think a guy should win the fight just because he's walking forward. I think the guy who lands more in a fight where damage is scored, the guy who lands more should win, especially when nothing at all happens. I don't care if they're on the back foot. That's ring generalship, them being able to pivot around you and you not being able to get what you want to do off on them. They're doing what they want. And then there was another one that he had, Burns, was able to kind of just throw caution to the wind and get him down and play that game. And he fought Bilal. Did he fight Bilal? Wonderboy?
Wonderboy, yeah. Bilal kind of like just held him.
Just held
the
him.
whole fight.
So I don't know if I never seen Shavkat's wrestling like that. So I don't know if that's his approach. But if it's striking, I'm saying he's gonna have a hard time trying to close the distance to strike with him. But if his approach is to go and close the gap, put him against the cage and neutralize him, okay, I can see how he gets that done. His fight with Kevin Holland takes him down a couple times, lets him up.
With Wonderboy.
Lets up the world-class striker, kickboxer. Yeah. Crazy to me. This is a good fight. I think Shavkat's the real deal. Wonderboy's getting up there with age.
Shavkat's the real deal, but he was human. Like he looked human against
Jeff Neal.
Jeff Neal, I mean, yeah. Yeah. He did win with a standing rear naked choke, but it was a war.
Yeah. Up until
90% of that 3-round fight. So.
Yeah.
He got cracked a couple times. I'm saying if Jeff Neal can crack Shavkat, Wonderboy can crack Shavkat. You know.
He should, but Wonderboy's not really a boxer. He's more of a kicker. So he'll do the side kicks. He'll throw that long jab. He'll throw like that 1-2, come over the top with that same side head kick. He'll go 1-2, same side, 1-2, same side, both stances, spinning wheel kicks. It's gonna be a very interesting fight. This fight is gonna let us know if Shavkat is really as good as they say he is, as good as he says he is, and if he's truly the next guy in line to fight for a title, he has to beat Wonderboy. And this is gonna be his golden opportunity to do that. And that's December?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that fight.
That's a sick card.
If there's any time to get Wonderboy, I think it's now. He's got momentum on his side. He's got the youth on his side. But does he have the skills to pay the bills on his side?
Dude, what do you think, if you had to predict?
Wonderboy's my guy. It's like, I know Wonderboy personally.
Yeah.
I feel I just can't morally go against him.
I mean, I think there's a good chance he could win the fight. I mean,
Wonderboy?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say he's probably not the favorite. Shavkat's probably the favorite.
Probably coming.
The odds of him winning are probably higher, but I think Wonderboy. It's not like far-fetched to say Wonderboy could win.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair take.
I'm just saying I'm leaning towards Wonderboy because we are friends and family. Guys, I'm not a Shavkat hater. Please do not do that. Oh my God.
Next we got Frevola versus Benoit St. Denis.
St. Denis versus Matty Steamroller Frevola. Big fight. Matt Frevola now ranked in the top 15. He's ranked 14th. Three-fight first round knockout streak. St. Denis, I think he's in a 4-round finishing streak.
I will confirm.
A 4-fight finishing streak. Sorry, guys. I think they're both putting their records on the line right now for winner takes all and moving into the top 10 of that division of 155, which is nice to see Frevola getting his due against another tough guy. And St. Denis is not even ranked. But if he goes out there and he puts his lights out, bro, Matt Frevola is burning down the city.
Yo. I mean, because that's the guy who's like...
on fire right now.
Yeah, like looking like a world beater. Frevola posted something, he was like, they keep feeding me to the wolves, but they don't realize I'm a lion.
Yeah.
I love that. He's not coming up on Tapology.
Who's
Benoit St. Denis.
just type in Frevola. He will come up, and then you'll see his scheduled bout, and then you click it, and then boom, you have everything right there at your fingertips there, sir.
Shout out Tapology.
Shout out Tapology.
Okay, Benoit St. Denis.
I know he beat Bonfim. I forgot who he just beat.
So Thiago Moises, ground and pound, round 2. Before that, it was Bonfim, rear naked choke, round 1. Before that, it was Gabriel Miranda, right hook to ground strikes, right at the beginning of round 2. And then before that, rear naked choke against Nicholas Stolze. And that was, rear naked choke, round 2. So that's 4-fight finishing streak.
Who did he lose to?
Elijah.
Elijah's, that was at 170. Oh, that was it? Oh, man, this guy is on fire. For some reason, I thought he was like up and down in the UFC. He's only lost once.
He's only fought 5 times in the UFC.
Yeah, but for some reason, I don't know why, I thought he was up and down, like back and forth, alternating wins and losses.
No.
And now I see this, he only lost 1 time.
No.
So this is an amazing fight, because whoever wins this is going to the moon.
But like, it's gonna be a sick fight. It's like guaranteed banger.
Yeah, at MSG. This is a good fight. I
Frevola doesn't lose at MSG. I'm just saying.
Frevola needs to lean on his grappling a little bit, I think.
This guy has good grappling too, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying go out and we're just gonna wrestle fuck the guy. I'm saying go out and mix it up, not just only look to strike. Because I think the wrestling is going to kind of throw off St. Denis and give him an opportunity to eventually land that knockout punch, possibly on the break.
Okay.
Bookmark it.
So grab him, then get away
Nostradamus
from him.
if I get this right. Yeah. Great fight. I'm looking forward to this one. That's gonna be at MSG, and I will be there.
Next and last but not least, Denis Buzukja versus Jamall Emmers, MSG, Albania.
This is a tough fight, man. I'm not gonna lie. Jamall Emmers is kind of that grinder grappler. I can see him trying to stall the fight and make it very, very slow, pushing Denis against the cage once Denis touches him a little bit or he sees the hand speed of Denis, looking for his chin kind of a thing. Denis has great body work. I think he's gonna need to lean on that to deter Jamall from shooting. I think if you start high is where you give the guys more opportunities to slip underneath for takedowns and entries and to tie you up and look for clinching. I think if Denis mixes it up or he starts high and then goes low, it kind of gives him throws a monkey wrench into the whole equation where it's like, here's a crowbar, just stop you right in your tracks from you trying to enter in a takedown. And it hits you, it's almost like a sprawl where you down block, but it's one where you punch. So you're getting kind of a 2-for-1 where you're stopping the takedown, you're also landing damage.
Okay.
So I think if Denis gets going with one of those, I think it could be a good night for him. Again, this guy's a grinder, but Denis has got the better hands. This kid has beaten a guy who came into the UFC in his debut who was like 17-0. So shout out to Emmers for that, showing some grit, because that was a tough fight. I think they ruled it a split, even though that kid, Emmers, I thought clearly won. But here's a different animal in Denis, and I think now him having a full training camp changes everything for his debut against Shaw Woodson. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes, and I'm actually super excited about this for Denis. Because, it's a great opportunity, but Denis needs to make sure he's putting in the work, make sure he's dialed in, and go out there and get the job done.
And he's been training for 5 weeks already, because he knew that he might be fighting at MSG. And he's excited. Yeah. There's gonna be like 2,000 Albanians there. He gets the finish. Loud crowd. It's gonna be his moment. So
it's gonna be a good arena, man. I'm excited for all these guys. I think Nassim might be getting a fight announced on that card as well, which is going to be phenomenal to have 3 guys on the card. It's gonna be a busy day for Longo. Back with his good hip. Longo with his good hip. And last but not least, Figureido is coming up to 135, taking on Rob Font. Rob Font coming up short against Corey Sandhagen in a short notice attempt. Just had a hard time getting back to his feet from the bottom position, but on the feet, he looked like he was super dangerous. I think Rob Font is going to shut the lights of Figureido. I think Figueiredo's going to be a little bit too small, man. Like even standing next to him in person, I think Figueiredo's going to have the speed advantage. But I think once Font closes the distance with his teeps, his long push kicks, and then he uses that long jab, cuts off the cage where he's kind of like creeping towards you. Long jab, and then he creeps. Boom. He creeps again, stays in front of you. I think he's going to be able to find those big hooks that he throws. Boom, uppercut. And I think that's going to be the fight. But Figueiredo, obviously a former world champion. I think he's going to make it interesting, but I still think the size is going to play a factor. And even for myself, talking about going up to 145, I want to make sure when I go up, I kind of feel like I belong with those guys size-wise. And maybe he is big enough for 135, but the last time I saw him, he was cutting down to 25. So he looked a little bit smaller to me. So we'll see how he looks physically when he's making that jump up to 135.
But Rob's I feel like he's one of the bigger guys too. So
he cuts a lot of weight. He ain't muscular.
Nah, but
he cuts a lot of weight.
I feel like he's tall.
He's taller than me.
Yeah.
I think he's 5'8".
Okay, so yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. And I think Henry Cejudo's supposed to be having a fight announcement soon.
Oh.
I hope it's a rematch with Dominic Cruz. And I think Poatan, I'm hoping that he's fighting Song. I would like to see that fight.
Man, dude, that'd
be a fun fight.
That'd be amazing. 2 fights.
I'm like, hey, now you guys play. Go. Kill each other. Go.
Song versus Peter Yan would be sick.
Yeah. Other than that, guys, about to go see the Shaman. Shaman is waiting for us.
Gonna go see our creator.
Yes. See you guys later. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button too. Come on.
Subscribe for good luck.
You know you want to.
I know you want me.
All right. Peace.